Okay, so this is, frankly, this is I haven't done my job. Okay, I'm just going to confess it. Normally, for 20 years, almost 20 years, we have done a 3-stage comparative cost of production based on observed data, accountant prepared, cool data that COVID kind of wrecked hell with that last year's data set, which would have been what that was based on. And we also, for almost 10 years, have done a crop cost of production based on observed data, clients and people we work with that basically looks at corn and soybean production on a proportional cost basis. The swine cost of production is on a per wean pig, per 100 rate of gain and holder, and per 100 pounds sold. So those data sets do exist from every year up until 2020. The 2020 data set will be, I hope, be done sometime before the end of the year. And with that, we normally do a projection, and I will do a projection of what I think the benchmarks will be for 2021. Excuse me, for 2022. And we will do a analysis of what we think the benchmarks were in 2021, but that's more iffy at this point. Part of this, the reasoning for my failure to get all this stuff done is I have another job and I work with the MASA group, and currently I'm on the MASA board, and currently I'm president of the MASA board, and you will hear a little bit about what we've been doing, but we've been doing an awful lot, just haven't had the time. And as I said, the data sets were a bit of a struggle. But what we do have up on the screen is a group that we have worked with now for a number of years, which is the AgSuron set of crop production data on a per acre basis. And this group was known for years as the Russell Consulting Group. So this is data that the Russell consultants, now AgSuron consultants, collect in January, February, early March from their customer base, and they do risk management for their customers. And this is their customers' data by, you can see the farm code identity over on the far side of the screen. And this is their projections of what they thought their costs for 2021 were going to be. And they would use this information to devise their risk management.
So there's white pointer.
I don't have anything to check.
Okay.
Oh, you mean a pointer?
Pointer, yeah.
So it says Russell clients here, which is the AgSuron clients. You see some components that we have used over this last couple of decades. We look at costs, and we do grouping of costs to be able to do benchmarking between operations. And this describes some of that where we're collecting seed chemicals and fertilizer, and we're coming up with a total input cost. And in these kind of analysis, you are comparative at the category level much more so than you are at the detail level. For an example, you could use stacked hybrids and reduce or change your chemical system, but by linking those costs together, you end up with a number that becomes more comparative between them. And then we're looking at land costs, and those are rental costs. Those are, if they own the land, that's interest payments, property taxes, that's conservation expenses, tile depreciation, all rolled up into a per acre cost. We look at labor and equipment, and then we get to total operating, and the fuel is actually a component of the equipment total. And then we get total operating costs, and we look at some operating interest. And then we look at some additional costs of drying, miscellaneous crop insurance. And we do a total of crop expense per acre. And in the Russell Ag-Churon analysis, they project what their yield's going to be. You see the prices that they were estimating last February for what their prices revenue. So you end up with an estimated profit or loss per acre. John had asked a question yesterday at the end of this last section about how do we pay for the data and how do farms pay for the data. And he brought up the point about variation. And you can look at the variation, don't even look at the revenue, with revenue, the estimated P&L. Look at the variation there, 250 to minus 24. Look at the crop expense per acre, and look at the variation. Now, once you throw the yields in there, that is how we are doing that to try to come up with a comparative number. But when we looked at the swine cost production, 3-stage, it was, and I have gone back in the full report and I look at that, and we see, I think, relatively massive amount of variation between operations to this day. And that variation, you would think potentially is getting less and less per year. And we see some years the variation goes down, but then the next year it comes right back. So those analysis, which I don't have on the screen here, are on pure cost standpoint. And we're easily seeing $25. So $25 of lost opportunity in many cases between what we define in those analysis as the top 10%, the 90th percentile benchmark, and the average, a difference of $25. And because we're the accountants and we're working with these folks, we can literally we ground truth that, because we know who buys the farms and who just don't. And the ones that are in the 90th percentile buy a lot more farms than those in the 50th percentile. In fact, usually the 50th percentile are doing just what we define in that estimate, which they're in harvest mode. They're in, Dennis DePietri used to call it the death spiral, where they just lose equity every year and never build anything. And you can absolutely see it. So do I believe the $25 is real? Absolutely. So that's the opportunity we have if we can help people stay at that upper end. So with that, that's what I have for right now. And but I will, whenever I get the current cost production done, I will give that to Norm and he'll put it out on the FBS website. Thank you.